Hi, everybody. This is Silvio Canto in Dallas, Texas on Wednesday, November the 14th, and welcome to our video commentary. Well, we're going to talk a little bit today about these recounts in Florida and Georgia. I have a post over at the American Thinker about this I'd like to tell you about. But let me begin with what is happening in the Democrat Party. There's a question as to who the next speaker is going to be. The natural person would be Nancy Pelosi. She was the minority leader. She was the leader of the Congress for the Democrats. But there's apparently opposition to Nancy Pelosi out there. A lot of it comes from the new generation of Democrats. What you're going to see right now in the Democrat Party is a generational fight between the new people coming in who are coming from suburban districts, from the middle of the country. These people won their elections by 1 or 2 points, so they understand they have a fight waiting for them in 2020. It's not going to be easy to get reelected in many of those districts, so those people are looking ahead to that, and they want to see a different House of Representatives. And then you have Nancy Pelosi and what I like to call the dinosaurs of the Democrat Party, the people who basically have been in the minority for the last 10 years, and they've been the number 2 person in most of these committees, like Maxine Waters, like Elijah Cummings, like John Lewis, like Nancy Pelosi herself, like several others, who have basically been number 2 waiting for the parties to change. But many of those people are not really connected that well to the new generation. So I expect a generational fight in the Democrat Party. And what's going to happen, I don't know. But I guarantee you, it's going to leave some deep wounds in the party. This is not a united party. These Democrats are not united. The only thing that united them was the fact that they hate Trump. But once they get into the room and they have to start negotiating, you're seeing a little bit already with this, the news about Amazon opening a facility in New York, and Democrats are already criticizing the Democrats in New York for crony capitalism. And this is going to be tough. And when it comes to the Second Amendment, when it comes to socialized medicine, these are not issues where the Democrats are going to find a lot of common ground. You have positions on both sides, and I expect a lot of divisions within the Democrat Party to get any of these things done. And that, of course, will be to the benefit of President Trump, who will just run against the Democrats in the House in 2020. Now, speaking of the recounts, I have a post over at the American Thinker today reminding everybody of the example of Richard Nixon in 1960. Richard Nixon in 1960 lost an extremely controversial election. We tend to forget that over the years. But that election was not decided until the next day. And there were many people in the Republican Party, including President Eisenhower, who was telling Richard Nixon, who was the vice president at the time, to ask for a recount. There was a lot of concern about some of the votes in Chicago, a lot of concerns about votes in Texas, and generally speaking, there were just a lot of questions. And if Nixon refused to accept defeat and had thrown the election into the courts, that would have really had a very negative impact on the incoming Kennedy administration. But by accepting defeat as early as he did, basically the next day, by conceding and saying, okay, I accept the results, by doing that, he made it possible for President-elect Kennedy to put together a government and move into his new administration. So I think sometimes in a democracy, as I say in my article, you have to do it for the country and concede, even though it could be close and you think there may be the possibility of something, you have to basically accept the results and move on. Because if you don't, as we saw in 2000, and as we're going to see with these recounts in Florida and Georgia, nobody's going to be happy. The winner is going to be declared illegitimate by some people, and the loser is never going to accept the result, and all you do is more and more partisan bickering, and you poison the well more and more than it already is. So I think it's time for people in Georgia and Florida to accept results, and let's move on. Look, we'll have another chance at elections in a couple of years, but it's time to move on and get to the business of governing, which is why they were elected in the first place. Well, thank you for watching. We have all of these on YouTube, on Twitter, and on my blog. And if November 14th is your birthday, happy birthday. Bye-bye, everybody.